First and foremost, I want to welcome you all to Case Western Reserve University, and thank you for taking some time to spend with the staff of academic support resources for students. My name is James Eller, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves as well here in just a second. But wherever you are, whether it's morning, the evening, or the middle of the day, we thank you for taking time to spend with us. And during this session, we are going to discuss some of the academic support resources that are available for your students. So if you would like to ask questions, you can pose those questions in the chat, and we'll be glad to answer those as they come up. So, and we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can. So, so here we are. Again, my name is James Eller, and I work largely with our supplemental instruction program, but I also meet with students individually to help them develop their time management and study skills. And I will go ahead and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves as well.
I am Rachel Gray, and my main area of focus is working with non-native English speakers, so helping with some spoken English programs, and I'll talk more about those later. But I also meet with students one-on-one, looking at time management, study strategies, and giving them tips and ideas for how to succeed during their time at Case.
Hi, everybody. Sean Hoberston. My primary area of focus is our peer tutoring program, which you'll learn about in a little bit. I also lead instructor for a course UNIV 100, which again, you'll hear about. And then like Rachel and James, I also meet with students one-on-one for any of their needs they might have. Been at Case a year and a half, 3 years at a previous higher ed institution, and I was a K-12 math teacher for about 11 years.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. So just as a brief overview of the resources that we're going to be covering this evening, we're going to be covering supplemental instruction. We'll talk a little bit about peer tutoring, as Sean has already alluded to. We'll also talk for a few minutes about a hybrid program called Study Group Plus One. Rachel will talk us through some of our resources available for non-native English speaking students and some of our courses and seminars. And then we'll also cover some of our programming resources, coaching, and also just some general tips and strategies that we make available for students. So we're going to begin with our peer learning programs. And our peer learning programs are programs that are facilitated by our students. Most of these programs, our students are selected from amongst normally many students to serve in their roles as peer educators. They are recommended by members of the faculty. They're trained by our staff to serve in their roles. And we have found through our experience, as well as, through, tons and tons of research, that students often will learn best when they're learning with one another, when they're working collaboratively. So in that sense, all of our peer learning programs are collaborative in nature. So we're going to talk through some of those here. So we're going to begin with supplemental instruction. Supplemental instruction is our large group study sessions. And I would say it's probably our largest academic support program, but it's not our furthest reaching academic support program. So while we only support some first and select second year courses in biochemistry, biology, chemistry, engineering, nursing, and physics, we find that a significant portion, around 75% of our first and second year student population, passes through these SI supported courses. So while the reach of this program is maybe not as broad as, say, our peer tutoring program, it does reach a lot of students. SI sessions are large group study sessions that are held outside of traditional class times. And in most cases, they're held during the evenings and on weekends. These sessions provide an excellent opportunity for students to ask questions, review notes, do practice problems, prepare for exams, interact with other students in the class, and work with their SI leader who is a student who had previously taken the class, did exceptionally well, and was recommended by the course professor to serve in their role. We also teach our SI leaders to facilitate collaborative learning activities in these sessions. So again, this is a way for students to actively engage with the course material. Like all of our resources, SI sessions are free, so there is no additional cost for any of our resources, and participation by students is voluntary, and students do not need to register for them ahead of time. For SI sessions, they can show up, anytime during the session. So parents as well as students can view the SI schedule on our website, can also view it using the QR code here on this slide. So in addition to the courses that we support with SI, the math department also provides SI support for a number of their first year courses, and we try to incorporate their sessions into our schedule as well.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about peer tutoring and study group +1. I can pause for a second in case anyone has any SI questions they want to put in the Q&A or the chat. And while we're waiting there, I'll give a shameless plug to our SI program. We participated in a research study with 11 like universities, so Brown, Carnegie Mellon, WashU, and we were the only institution that had supplemental instruction. So it's a shameless plug for our university and our department that James has this program up and running. Any question? Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our peer tutoring program. It's again it's similar to SI in that it's peer led. The tutors are again students who did well in their courses, well meaning almost predominantly A's, and are recommended by their faculty members, and it's also free to the students. Where it differs is that with SI being a larger session, larger group, peer tutoring is almost exclusively one-on-one unless you do the study group, which we'll talk about next. And students have to sign up for it. So there's no open tutors are sitting at a table just waiting to see if anybody shows up. We have a website called Tutor Track. You can see the link there. The students just log in with their case ID and password like they do their email and everything else. And what's really neat about that scheduling software is that it is linked to SIS, our scheduling platform for courses. And so when a student enrolls in a class, that is the only thing they see are the courses they're enrolled in. If they add or drop a class, within 24 hours, it'll be updated on that tutoring website. So a student who's in Bio 214, Math 125, etc., will only see those courses. They can select the course they're looking for help, for some support, and it'll automatically pull up the availabilities that the tutors have created. So tutors create their availabilities, and then students can go and look and pick the one that's best suited for them. Some of the sessions are held virtually. As you see at the bottom there, they're online or in person. That is mainly up to the tutors, how they want to offer that. Coming out of the COVID pandemic era, we want to give people the freedom to do what is most comfortable for them. Many of the STEM course sessions are held in person, but also some are offered online. So even if a student is missing class because they're sick, they can look for a virtual session. And it says right on there what the delivery method is, online, at the library, etc. Students can sign up for up to 5 appointments per week. Again, free of charge. If they ever need more than 5, they're welcome to reach out to me. Just the system won't let them schedule it on their own. We have peer tutoring for over 150 different courses. So this goes back to what James said, where it reaches more courses than SI does, but SI reaches the majority of our students. And then if there is a course for which a student cannot find tutoring, perhaps the tutors are booked, perhaps we don't have a tutor for that course, there is a button that they can't miss. It just says report unable to find tutoring, and it'll trigger an email to myself, and then we will look to see, do we need to try and recruit a tutor? Do the current tutors need to put in more availability? We try to really do what we can to make sure the students have the support they need. On the next slide, we'll talk about a little offshoot of our peer tutoring program. It's called Study Group +1. And essentially what this is it's for up to 5 students, usually 3 to 5. This year I had my first study group with 2 students, but basically if you have a pre-formed study group, the students like to study together. They already do, they work well together, they know each other, they're comfortable with each other, and they just want to bring in someone who's a content specialist, someone who's taken the course to make sure they're studying properly, to make sure they're using correct learning strategies, study strategies, making sure their answers are correct when they're working on their practice exam and so forth. The study group can request to have a tutor come join their study group. The only not the only difference, but the main difference between this and peer tutoring is that this cannot be signed up for by the student on their own. So they actually will submit a request. Again, you can see the link there. And all they do is fill out the names of the students, what course they're looking for some support, and then I try to match a tutor with them that can meet their schedule. And they put a couple of times that work for them, Thursdays at 6 or Fridays at 5, and I try to find a tutor that will work for them. Again, these can be held online or in person. My experience is that almost all of these are in person. Just the study groups naturally get together. Now I'll turn it over to Rachel.
So another newer peer program that we've started to add to our services is peer academic coaching. And so while SI sessions and tutoring sessions are content specific, they're for the specific course, and they're covering that material from class, the academic coaching kind of works broadly with academic study skills and helping the students meet their academic goals. So you can see this list here. Some of these topics are time management, and that's a huge one, you know, coming in new as a student and trying to figure out how to balance your time and organize your schedule and your social life and how many hours to put in for study. So peers can help kind of walk them through that, along with getting organized for classes, better note-taking strategies, having help finding some motivation. So a peer to help them kind of guide them along as someone who's been there and sat in the courses and had experience at CASE, to walk alongside them and give them some tips and ideas and strategies. Your child can come and meet with them once. They can come in just kind of as needed and hit a couple topics and discuss those for ideas. They're also welcome to continue to meet for a few weeks or throughout the semester, just to have some accountability. I know for quite a few students, it tends to be like, I have this idea, let's make this plan for time management. And then they may come back a few times to kind of adjust the system a bit. This worked, this didn't work. Do you have some new ideas? And just kind of meet for a few weeks to kind of get on track with those goals that they've set for themselves. So we're excited to get this program up and running. Like I said, it's new to our department. And so that's another peer service that we're offering to students in the spring.
And this just alludes to what James mentioned. A lot of our students come in, and these are some of the finest students in the world, and they come in and we really try to hone in and that these supports are available and utilized. And you can see the numbers, 2,300 students, totaled over 20,000 visits between all of our programs. That would be SI and peer tutoring and study group +1 last year. And I believe this year we're on track for as many or more. We just talked about that. So next we're going to shift over to some of the courses that we teach. And there are 3 courses. I'm going to speak about the first one and then let Rachel speak about the next 2. So these codes are UNIV 100, UNIV 102, 103 are the codes the students would use to register for their classes, the same as they search for BIOL 214 to take their biology class. These are in SIS and can be signed up for. So UNIV 100 is titled Essential Academic Strategies, and really excited for this next semester. We can go to, there you go. This next semester will be the first time this class is a half semester course. It used to be 5 weeks. We have added it, made it 8. That way we can cover more topics, hit on some things that just kind of got lost in the 5-week course because we didn't have enough time. So really excited about this. The class is strictly pass, no pass. It's not for a grade. It won't impact their GPA, and it doesn't count as a credit, which is nice because that means it doesn't cost anything to add, even if they're at the max. And I believe that the max for first semester is 19. So even if they're at 19, they can add this course and it won't cost anything, and it doesn't make them go over the maximum. The session begins week 1 in the spring. If they take it in the fall, it's week 2. But this semester, since it's 8 weeks, we're starting it in the first week. That means they do have a week to add the course or drop the course. So even if they don't start from day 1, they can add it anytime during the first week of the semester. The main purpose of this class is to give students a solid foundation from which to build upon, introduce them to all of the resources that are available to them through our office, give them a personal connection that they can, they have someone to connect to. I've had actually just this past fall when I taught the course, I had a few students who scheduled follow-up appointments. They're already comfortable. They knew where everything was. And it's always facilitated by at least one of us. Last semester, both Rachel and James were instructors also for one of the days, and then I was there for every class. And we meet 1 hour a week on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. I realize that it's possible a student may want to take the course and they have a different course at that time. But that time slot just seems to be, and a lot of students are done generally by 4, maybe unless they have a long lab or so forth. So that was a good time slot. And there are 4 students currently signed up for the class, and these are students that are here in the fall. So I would love to see some first semester students coming in for the spring sign up. And again, they can do that all the way through the end of the first week of the semester. So definitely something that they can check out.
Okay, and I will talk about that we offer 2 other courses as well, and those are focused on non-native English speakers. They are open to everyone on campus, so others are welcome to join in as well. But a lot of content will cover kind of mastering some skills and working on pronunciation, vocabulary, for those who are still mastering English. But like I said, it's open to everyone. Similar to the UNIV 100 course, they are non-credit, pass, no pass. These are still at 5 weeks. And this first one, UNIV 102, is covering presentation skills. So looking at how to, effectively prepare a presentation and give it in front of the class. They have a chance to practice a few throughout the semester. Very, low pressure, not lots of research like they may be doing in some other classes, but still a chance to stand up in front of the group and practice and speak and work on that vocabulary and pronunciation if they're non-native English speakers. So presentation skills is UNIV 102. And then the other one is UNIV 103, which is navigating reading skills. So really just looking a lot at effective reading strategies, reading comprehension, just kind of knowing that difference between, skimming and scanning and how to get the most out of the reading material. And again, for the non-native English speakers, also, building those vocabulary skills and how to practice kind of understanding English language in addition to understanding the reading material as well. And again, no credit, pass, no pass, and 5-week seminar. So those are the 2 classes that I teach, in addition to jumping into Sean's class as well.
So before we move on, this is a good place to just take a break and continuing to monitoring the chat. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I know we're covering a lot of information and we're moving through it rather quickly, and we apologize for that, but we want to try and expose you to as much information as we can. But we certainly understand if you have questions. So if a student has a schedule conflict with an SI session, the fallback plan is to sign up for tutoring sessions. I wouldn't say that the fallback is to sign up for tutoring sessions. I would say that it's an alternative. Normally we offer multiple SI sessions over the course of the week. So if a student is not able to attend one SI session, there's normally going to be at least one or two more during the week that they might be able to attend. So now it's also possible that a student might find that, SI sessions, or the opposite, maybe peer tutoring, may not be the best for them. So they might choose the other. So that's a possibility as well. So unfortunately, with the SI schedule is pretty rigid. So and unfortunately, though, there will be those cases where it's just not going to be convenient for every student. Good question. Yeah, the study group +1 can be in person. Most are, as Sean explained, but it is possible that they could also be virtual as well. Absolutely.
Piggybacking on something James mentioned with the SI, because we just observed the SIs, so I got a good firsthand experience. The SIs are great about sending out the resources that they're going to be utilizing, whether that's practice sheets, note sheets, summary. They send all those things out to the students, and so if a student isn't able to attend this particular session, they could still at least get the resources that are being used, and maybe either take that to a tutoring session or connect with a student that did go to the SI to maybe go over it. That'd be another way. We always tell students a good thing to do for studying is to teach others. And so if I was a student in the class and I went to the SI and James wasn't able to, that would be a great opportunity for me to connect with James and teach him what I learned in the SI. And that would help James, and that would help me solidify my understanding.
Okay, we have no other questions in the queue at this time, so we will press on. Rachel?
Okay. So yes, we have covered a lot in a short amount of time. So feel free to keep throwing questions in the question box if you have any or they come to mind as I continue presenting here. So I do want to cover just a few other resources that we have available in addition to our peer programs and the courses that we offer. We offer a few different opportunities for students to connect with us, to use the resources that we have available. And so I will highlight a few of those for you going forward. So the first one, if you want to switch over the slide there, is again, my area with non-native English speakers. So I host a conversation hour once a week. Going forward for the spring, you can see the time there will be Wednesdays from 1 to 2. Still settling on room and location and all of that. But we are a group that meets just kind of a casual group that I bring a topic, or sometimes the students will come in with something they'd like to discuss, or something that they've heard that they'd like to talk about. And really, it's an opportunity for each person in the room to practice conversation skills, practice pronunciation. I come in some weeks with American idioms, which we use so many in the English language, or practicing some different vocabulary. But a lot of times it's just the more that you're speaking in that second or that third, for some people, language, the more practice that you have and the more comfortable you can become with it, the better. And so we have a great group that meets on Wednesday, and that's an option it's open to everyone. Even if you are a native speaker, your child's a native speaker, and they just want to be around some students who are learning and practicing, that's an opportunity for them to come and join in as well. And then your student may connect with us throughout the semester from different programs that we offer. So all the new students are coming in and needing to do the, it just slipped my name, the Explore programs that they are coming in and they have to do. So we offer some of those on some of these topics that are listed here. They overlap a little bit with topics that Sean's teaching in that UNIV 100 course as well. But professors or organizations may be inviting us into their classes or meetings, and we can cover some of these topics also. So we are out there in the community throughout the semester. Your students do receive kind of the same information that you're receiving here about what services we offer, whether that's from their orientation leader when they first arrive, or maybe from their RA. They are hearing about us, and they may make connections with us throughout the semester. So we are around and involved in some different aspects of the community throughout the school year. And then we have a resource on our website that is called the Academic Inventory. It's an informal inventory that students can complete to look at each of these different areas that are listed here, some academic career integration, their writtenness, how they do with writing assignments, time management, preparing for exams. And it just goes through each area, and they can kind of check how often or how frequently you're using these different strategies. And it comes back with a simple score for them to look at to see where they might want to improve. It's going to show them the areas that they're really excelling in. And it's just a kind of a great starting point for someone to see where they might need to make some adjustments to their study habits and strategies. And students can take it and kind of make those adjustments on their own if they'd like. It's also a great starting point to have a conversation with someone in our office. And so some students will take it, and then the results are emailed to us. We see them, and then we respond back asking if they'd like to meet with us. And some students take us up on that. And that's, like I said, a great way to start that conversation about, what changes can be made. We can start to offer some tips and strategies to them as well. And so this is something that's available to your students at any time in their academic career. And then academic coaching, I mentioned that peer academic coaching program earlier, but all three of us as professional staff offer coaching as well. And that's something that, again, they can come to us once, they can meet with us multiple times if they'd like, and to talk about some of these topics, time management, note-taking. I can meet with students for spoken English and kind of coach them through that as well. But this is an opportunity to come and talk about, maybe, again, it's not a specific course that they would attend an SI session or a tutoring session for, but they're trying to get some ideas and tips for how to succeed as a student. Sometimes it is for a specific course, but if someone came in this semester specifically for organic chemistry, how can I succeed at this? And so as we're familiar with some of the courses, we can offer some tips for those specific strategies for those specific courses. And again, if they do want to meet with us a few times through the semester, for some students, just having that accountability of somebody to kind of check in with, that's been helpful. I know I did that throughout the semester, this past semester, and it was great. We just wrapped up last week with a lot of students, and, seeing that they went from kind of overwhelmed and stressed out with everything that they had on their plate to like, I've got this under control. I can manage it. I figured out how to navigate this first semester. It's really rewarding to see them grow and progress. So they're welcome to come and meet with us multiple times if they'd like. And then I think this is the last one on the additional resources, but we offer just a few PDF resources that students can quickly reference, if they're looking for some tips or ideas. We do have these printed out in the building that we're located in that students can grab and go if they're interested. But just some quick information about, how to best organize their time. There's even a few on, how important sleep and exercise are as well, and how to, balance those along with their academics. I love the ones that are tips from SI leaders for a few specific courses. But this is just a resource that, if your child's talking to you about maybe having some difficulty, but maybe they're hesitant to come in and visit with us, this is kind of a good place to send them. And here's some tips and ideas, maybe start with this. They may come and see us after that, or that might just be enough to help them have some ideas and some strategies going forward. So we try to put as much out there on the site to be helpful and a resource, but they're always welcome to come and see us as well. All right, and then this is back to you, James, I believe. But you're still muted.
Yes, thank you. My mute button wouldn't reappear on my screen, so it's like I can't unmute. So we have covered a lot of information here this evening, and I know that we kind of went through some of this information as fast, but our goal this evening is not necessarily to make all of you experts on the minute details of the programs and resources that we have available. But more so, it was to create an awareness for you of some of the resources that are available for your students. Everything that we covered here this evening, information can be found on our website. So a simple Google search of CWRU academic resources for students will land you on our webpage, and you are welcome to explore all of these programs and services for yourself. And we really value parents who attend this session and become familiar with our programs and services, because in many cases, parents are oftentimes a student's go-to person or the first person that they reach out to when they're struggling. So, and by parents being aware of some of the resources that are available through the university, then they can help direct their student to some of these resources. So maybe while, as a parent, you don't remember the details of all these programs, but if you know that these programs exist and you know that our office exists, then you can help guide your student to us, and then we can, get them connected with the resources that they need to be successful. So we would like to leave you with one final thought. And that is just, empowering your students, to take advantage of resources that are available at the university. The reality is that college is different from high school. And while all of your students have demonstrated success at the high school level, college is a different environment. It takes different strategies to be successful. But we understand that students can only bring with them what they know. So for many students, it takes some time for them to develop new strategies to help them be successful in the college environment. So as a resource for your student, we just encourage you to encourage your students to participate in as many resources as they can, especially collaborative learning activities, whether it's meeting with their faculty members, whether it's attending an SI session, or meeting with a peer tutor, or utilizing some of our online resources, or meeting with a peer coach, because reality is sometimes, and of course all of us as parents know, that sometimes our students, they don't really want to listen to what we tell them. So we can even deliver the message through peers. So, so our peer coaching program, again, is just one more way that we try to connect students with resources to help them. So, so we just encourage you to encourage your students to engage in as many opportunities as they can. So, and the more and more students engage, then the more likely they are to be successful. So, again, that pretty much concludes our presentation for this evening. The question and answer box is still open. So if you do have additional questions for us, you can certainly put those in the question box, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. Otherwise, our contact information here is on this slide. So you're welcome to reach out and contact us should you have any questions.